All right, everybody, welcome back to another Southsiders in the North End podcast. Title of this one is We Started the Fire, because we started the fire against Chicago Fire and kept it going pretty much the entire game, entire second half. Um, just real quick again, we're going to run through the starting 11, the substitutions and how I feel about them, and then we're going to run through the 4 goals that were scored and a little bit of a recap at the very end, preparing for the week ahead because we have a pretty busy week here at St. Louis City. Bear with me. This is the first time I get to describe goals, so if they're not great, please let me know and I will fix it for next time. All right, starting 11. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We've run the same starting 11 out. I think, what is it, 4 or 5 times in a row now? That's the first time that we've done more than 3 in franchise history, because 3 was the first time that we ran it out 3 times in a row in franchise history. So we're just going to keep on rolling with the same lineup. We've got Berkey in goal, Marcanic at left back, Hebert at left center back, Tim Parker at right center back, Totland at right back. Ostrak and Durkin playing that double pivot. I really like them in the double pivot together. I think that they're both kind of shining in their own light. We've got Celio Pompeo on the left wing, Indiana Vassilev in the center mid, playing that more 10 position. Rasmus Alm on the right wing, and Joao Klaus, Santa Claus, is back up top for the 4th game in a row. Berkey did Berkey things. He let in 1 goal, not really his fault. Can't really do anything about it. Made 2 pretty easy saves and made 1 pretty difficult save that got the entire North End up and chanting, "He's in your head." Always fun to do that chant. It's always fun to hear that ring out in the stadium, hear that on the radio, hear that on TV. Left back, I'm still not sold on Anthony Marcanic. He's done really well playing up the field. I think he's really good moving forward. I think that the more he gets comfortable moving forward, the more we'll see him hanging back a little bit more, because he knows, oh, this is when I press, this is when I don't. He's a young player. We have to cover a little bit more. He's been combining really well with Celio on that left side of the field, though. Those two running up the field on that left side looks really good together. Marcanic ended the game with 47 touches, which is a little bit surprising. He's usually our high touch getter in the game. He was not the highest touch getter last night. Moving over to center back 1 and center back 2. Neither of them were really standout players. You don't really want your center backs to stand out for the wrong reasons. They played really well defensively, covering a lot of space. Tim Parker, solid game. Nothing to write home about. He had 88% passing completion and 50 total touches in the game. Controlled the ball really well as a center back. That's what we like to see here in St. Louis. Kyle Hebert played well defensively, covering the lack of defensive cover on the left side. That comes from Marcanic's pushing forward. Like I said, Marcanic pushing forward is incredible. We love to see it. It gives us a dynamic look going forward, but sometimes it creates some holes in the defense, and I think Kyle Hebert did really well covering for that space. Hebert had 85% passing completion on 56 total touches. A little bit more than Hebert, but a little bit more than Parker, but we do like to attack down the left side a little bit more using Marcanic and Celio moving forward. On the right side, Thomas Totland did Totland things, connected lines, ripped shots, fed crosses. He had 54 total touches in the game. We saw us use the right side almost as much, if not more, than the left side this game, which is a little bit interesting. But we'll talk about that more when we talk about the center mid with Ostrak and Durkin, which we're going to get to now. Pivots 1 and pivot 2. Center midfielder 1 is who I put down as Tomas Ostrak, sitting on that left center mid most of the game. He continued to connect passes between lines and connect the left side of the field. He gave different options for the center backs to unlock the left side rather than swinging it wide each and every time to Marcanic and up to Celio. We saw that happen a couple times in games in the past, where all we would do is feed that wide to Marcanic, feed it up to Celio, and when Marcanic pushes forward, that option's not open. We were able to feed the ball into Ostrak, and Ostrak could distribute from there going wide, and it looked really good. Different look, but a very good welcome addition to the style of play. Made Chicago more it made us more fluid. It made Chicago stretch their field out a little bit more, because both of our pivots would sit back and deep with the center backs and then push forward as we went, find those pockets of space to turn and fly forward, which was fun to watch. Continued with great passing completion, 95% passing completion on the game, on 50 total touches. And then Chris Durkin continued to drop deep into that midfield, act like a third center back defensively, offered a look that allowed him to see the whole field, try to spray passes like we see Edouard Louven do. Unfortunately, his 68% pass completion is not that similar to Edouard Louven, but he was active on both sides of the ball, giving us a dynamic press to get up and break those lines down. Moving up into the attackers, we had Celio Pompeo playing left wing. If I could describe Celio in one word, it would be confident. Celio has gained confidence. He continues to show confidence on the ball, taking on players, creating an assist with taking on a player, and continue to do so the entire 80 minutes he was on the field with 42 total touches. There was a podcast put out by City on the City Voice where Celio said he decides whether he's going to take the player on when he looks up and sees how many players are in front of him. If it's a one-on-one, he said 10 times out of 10, he's probably going to take that player on. If there's 2 or 3, he'll see what his options are and decide if maybe a square ball or a pass back is the better option. But I really love to see Celio bring in that Brazilian flair and take players on. There was a moment last night where he took on a player, did a little double scissor, push it to the right, and try and curl that ball back post. And I was sitting right there standing right next to that back post, and it looked like it was going to dip in for a little bit, and then it just kept on going. So we love to see Celio do Celio things and take players on. At the center attacking mid, Indiana Vassilev. Indy was versatile to say the least. He pressed forward and helped Klaus on the counter press. He sat between the lines to pull a defender up when he needed to give space for Klaus, and continue to fill that space between the lines and take over the up top spaces when Klaus dropped in. Indiana Vassilev had 77% pass completion on 45 total touches. Indy is continuing to impress. He's continuing to provide support. He's continuing to work the ball towards goal, towards the wing, so that they can get towards goal, get the ball to Klaus so he can do what he does. Indiana Vassilev playing that center attacking mid, that more of a 10 role, I think is really a welcome sight this year. And I hope when Edu Louven comes back, Indy just stays doing what he's doing, and Louven drops into that 8 position where he can run the whole field, go box to box when he's up to it, On the right wing, we had Rasmus Alm, came out of the gates flying, ready to put City on top, which he did. In the second minute, he scored a goal that we'll talk about later, and he then continued to press forward and provide service to players in the box. Alm and Totland work well together on that right side of the pitch and create dangerous chances when they're both on the ball. The big piece of Alm's game is the press and high-flying nature of the game. He doesn't always get the ball and do great things with the ball. However, he stretches the field, he stretches their defensive line, makes dangerous runs to penetrate and move players around. It opens up more space for Totland on the right, for Indy to fly out on the right side, for Klaus to drop in. It just opens up the space like crazy. And in my family, we have a joke that anytime Berkey gets the ball in his hands, he just screams, Alm, go, because just about every time Alm just dead sprint straight forward, and it's always dangerous when they link up like that. And then finally, let's talk about Joao Klaus. What can I say? But Santa is making his way back. He played like the Klaus we saw last year, hungry near the goal, and provided a few errant shots, and forced some chances. But with him being the number 9, our number 9, you want to see him try and create shots, try and create chances. Scored 2 goals last night and provided the playmaking spark offensively. He had 72% passing completion, 1.28 expected goals, and 3 out of 5 of his shots were on target, 2 of them going in the net. Klaus is starting to work his way back into form, and I'm really excited to see it. The wrap-up back when Klaus scored his first goal in the run of play against Austin had mentioned that I doubt we will see another 5-game run where Klaus does not score a goal. And the way that Klaus looks right now, he's finding his spaces, he's finding his areas in the box, he's finding his moments to drop back and get goal contributions. I mean, shoot, in 11 games, he's got 6 goal contributions, which is that's a good number. You know, you look at some of the top guys in Europe, and they're not contributing quite that much at that rate of a percentage. So seeing Klaus continue to be positive and trend towards another double digit, well into the double digits this year. Goal tally, hoping he stays healthy, is huge. That's something we really like to see. Moving on into the subs. Not always do I agree with Bradley Cardinal's substitutions and the timing of those subs, but in the 73rd minute, Sam came in for Rasmus Alm. Alm was already on yellow. It was a good time to give Sam some confidence on the ball against a tired Chicago defense. What I would have loved to see was more of a Sam up top, Klaus playing more of that number 10, that 9.5 that Nico liked to do, where Klaus would get on the ball and then play make for Sam. Unfortunately, what we saw was more of a lazy Sam at the time, where he wasn't pressing nearly as much because he was trying to wait for those opportunities to get in behind. And that's just not something that works well with the way Klaus plays. So when we saw AZ come in for Klaus later, you could see that there was more of that dynamicism going on between the two of them, because AZ likes to break those lines, likes to get the ball and get forward with whomever is with him. But for the 6 minutes that they were on the field together, they did what they could. Nothing came out of it, unfortunately, during that time. But 6 minutes later, in the 79th minute, AZ came on for Klaus. Klaus looked like he was getting tired. And with the other subs coming on in the game, AZ is going to make a difference that creates that spark. AZ plays well, finding players in behind. Seeing players like Nurkvi Thoresen, Sam Adinarin, even Indiana Vasilov on the right side, you'd see AZ try and find those guys on through balls so that they could get into the box and create something for the team. So I liked when I saw AZ came on, Sam was already on the field, and then immediately following, Thor came on for Celio. Another similar sub. They both like to get the ball on the left side, cut in and rip some shots. Thor does that more often than Celio, because Celio likes to cut in, take a player on, and then find a pass sometimes and get those assists as well. But I want to see Thor get some more minutes. I want to see what Thor can do if he plays more, because we saw what Celio can do when he gets those minutes. We've seen what Indy can do when he gets the minutes. We've seen what Ostrak can do when he gets his minutes. He's been, and I've looked up the stats for Tomas Ostrak. He's been at or around 80% passing, 85% passing in every game that he started. And seeing him get more minutes, seeing him build that confidence, seeing him on the ball is always an interesting sight for me, because of what I know, where I know he's at physically, like with the ball, versus where I saw him last year, where he wasn't getting the minutes and getting the confidence built. So seeing guys get confidence, seeing guys get minutes is huge in my opinion. And with these games coming up that we have this week, perfect time to get some of these guys some minutes. The fourth sub made for St. Louis City was Joakim Nielsen for Anthony Markanich, getting Nielsen some legs under him with 3 games this week. They began to start targeting that left side more with Markanich, which continued to stretch Hebert at the time, stretch Hebert out over there more, opening more space in the midfield. So it was a good substitution to let Hebert just stay out there, because he's not going to fly forward like Markanich, because that's not his game. He will, but he won't do it as nearly as often as Anthony Markanich. But in that moment, you know, we're up 2 goals. We want to preserve the lead. We don't want to give up another goal to let them get some confidence and get back into it. 3 center backs and Thomas Totland are going to work just fine. I really like that sub, get Nielsen those minutes so he can get his legs warm, get ready for the week. I'm sure we'll see him starting one of these games coming up. Then in like the 88th minute, Kajima came in for Tomas Ostrak, was our 5th and final sub of the night. Seemed like a bit of a time-wasting sub, wanted to get Ostrak off the field to start the recovery process, as well as get Kajima some game time with the first team. Start building that chemistry. You know, we signed Kajima to a first-team contract for a reason. We don't want to see him sitting down in City 2 all season. We don't want to loan him out like we see Isak Jensen, who's been doing incredible things at Viborg, over in Denmark. We want to see Kojima get minutes here. We want to see Kojima succeed. We want to see Kojima get minutes with the first team. So having a young guy like that start playing more, even if it's just little spurts with the first team, it's going to build that chemistry and build that relationship with the players. That's so huge here in St. Louis. That's one thing that I want to see all of our guys that aren't getting minutes, like even Nerwinski, even Watts, who haven't gotten a whole lot of minutes this year. I want to see them start getting these minutes this coming week or coming weeks, because we have a grueling schedule going forward up until Leagues Cup. I definitely want to see them get in Leagues Cup 100%. I want to see some of these guys get those minutes, get that time together, try and form relationships and form chemistry here on the field. All right, now the time for me to describe the goals. These were super fun to watch when I was there at City Park. We started off with a bang. Second half started off with a little bit of a letdown, but we answered pretty quickly after that. All right, so second minute, they had just gotten a shot on goal. Berkey picked up the ball and puts it long. Long ball from Berkey. Chicago they won the first ball. They kind of won the second ball. It's kind of a half win. Fell right to Alm. Alm saw that Brady was a little bit off his line and took the shot. It was an absolute pill of a shot, very little rotation and some movement. So it kind of moved left and right and dipped right under the crossbar, right over Brady's hand. Alm had mentioned at the end of the game that the team discussed trying to shoot from deep, and it worked out. City are up 1-0 in the second minute. There's some other shots and chances pretty quickly after that, from Indy, from free kicks from Indy. Klaus getting a couple opportunities that he might have forced a little bit, but we go into the half 1-0, up 1-0. Second half, we're attacking the north end. Something that I've been pushing for the entire time I've been a fan of St. Louis is to attack the north end second half. I feel like it creates more energy. It creates more excitement when we do score in the second half. It creates more of those moments like Kojima against Houston in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. I'd love to see more of those, but we start slow. Chicago draw level in the 46th minute as Mueller, their right wing, plays a wall pass with Shaqiri right around Anthony Markanich. Mueller then took the ball all the way down to the 18 and sent the ball back to the back post, where Gutman puts his head on the ball to force it back across the face of the goal. There was a deflection in the box. Gutierrez got absolutely leveled by Tim Parker, and the ball fell right to the number 9, Hugo Kuipers, and Fire level 1-1. Nothing Berkey can do there. Maybe the only thing that we could do as a team better defensively is make sure we have guys on, just stacked there in the box with Kuipers, because there's a little bit of space between the center backs, and somebody on Gutierrez on the back post there. Another thing that could have happened was stopping the play at the midfield, where Markanich got beat with the wall pass. Basically, Mueller got the ball, turned Markanich inward, because Markanich likes to defend with his left foot forward, and played a wall pass to Shaqiri, and then made that run behind Markanich before Markanich could drop step and go. And Mueller got the ball, took it down, and crossed it in. But then again, in the 56th minute, Celio had the ball on the left side, 1-on-1 with Aragoni. So tries to get to the end line to send the ball back across, it looked like, with his left foot. He was getting grabbed the entire way, did not have the opportunity to get that ball across. So he cuts it back from his left to his right and sends it to the 6-yard box, where a rogue Joao Klaus is sitting and ready to dispatch the ball into the back of the net. Klaus sees the ball coming and just sticks his big right foot in the path of the ball and puts it into the back of the net. City lead again, 2-1, right in front of the north end. Seeing those goals in the north end is always great. It's always fun. Seeing Klaus get those goals is even more fun, because he's on number 9. We want to see him scoring. We want to see that happen. I'm excited to see more of it. He seems like he's coming into form. And then again, in the 69th minute, after a flurry of passes on the right side of the field, Durkin is slotted through, making a horizontal run along the back line, slotted through towards the end line, where he takes the ball on a touch, takes a second touch, and sends the ball across the box to the back post, where Joao Klaus snaps forward, placing the ball right over Brady's head and into the back of the net. To celebrate, I thought this was pretty fun. To celebrate, Joao Klaus reenacted his head ball goal about 3 times and then jumped into everybody's arms. So he just seemed like he was just so excited to score with his head and continue to jump with excitement. And then after, he did the always together celebration that he and Nico Gioacchini had started last year. This is important because while Joao Klaus is finding his form again, Nico had recently been promoted to the Serie A yesterday, and City extend their lead to 3-1. After a few more subs that we talked about earlier, after a couple shots, a couple free kicks, a couple opportunities from Chicago, even the game ends 3-1. Fun game, high energy, high flying. I thought we got back to what we like to do. We started putting the ball in the back of the net, doing what we like to do. It wasn't like a game again. It wasn't like the game against Houston where we saw spurts of it. We saw glimpses, bits and pieces of it. And we just didn't have that finishing touch. We saw it the entire game, had that finishing touch from the second minute, and continued that all the way through the second half. Hoping that moving forward, because we've got a game against LAFC on Wednesday, a game against Cincinnati on Saturday, that we are ready to continue scoring. If we win against LAFC on Wednesday, that pushes us from 5th place to 4th place, only 1 point behind and even on games with the second and third place teams, LAFC or LA Galaxy and Minnesota United. 1 point behind them after one more win. That's how close the Western Conference is. We are currently in 9th place with 16 points, whereas the LA Galaxy and Minnesota United are at 2nd and 3rd with 20 points each. We move up and we get another point on Saturday, and we just continue to keep pace with getting points on the road. The more likely we are to hold down a home playoff series again, which would be huge. We now have experience in the playoffs. We now know what to look for, how to rest bodies, how to be prepared for it. And the more we have that, the more likely we are to continue on in the playoffs. And to end the podcast, I want to give a shout out to those supporters groups that got the stadium to play Hey Jude so that we can put our own spin on it. We're in the supporters section singing St. Lou instead of Hey Jude. And I hope it continues to catch on with the supporters section. That's all I have for tonight, but I will see you all on Thursday to recap the LAFC game. It's also my birthday, so I'm excited for that one. I'll see you guys later.